Yes, good morning students. Moving on to the next slide. This is about the incorporation of a company. The incorporation of the company is a very important criteria for the incorporation of the company. It is very important for a company to be incorporated to get its legal existence in the eyes of law. So incorporation you can say, registration of a company you can say. It refers to the legal process that is used to form a corporate entity or a company. An incorporated company is a separate legal entity on its own, recognized by the law. So it defined a company as its separate entity, separate from its members, separate from members may come, members may go. Company run as its own. Company has its different legal existence, legal entity, legally in the eyes of law, and it is recognized by the law as an incorporated association of a company, as a legal body, as a registered body of persons who are combined together for the achievement of the common objectives of the company that is mentioned in the object clause of the company, the main objectives of the company, and objectives subsidiary or ancillary for the achievements of the main objects of the company. So these corporation you can say company can be identified with terms like private limited or limited in their names. That is the way you can identify the company. How you can identify, how you can recognize this is a private limited company or this is a public limited company. By having these names, private limited or limited after the name of the companies. So it becomes a corporate legal entity, completely separate from its owners, completely separate from its members. So company now it define itself as a legal entity that that makes a company different, unique, different you can say from its members, from its owners, from its founders. Members, you can say members may come, members may go, members may add, members may retire from the company, but company run as its own. That is a very important stage in the formation of a company. That is the incorporation of a company, and that incorporation gives the company a legal entity, a separate legal entity in the eyes of third parties. Now company can file a suit for others, other companies can file a suit on the company because of having its legal existence. And there are certain steps involved in the process of incorporation of a company. The first step in the incorporation of any company is to choose an appropriate name. That is very important. The name is very important for a person, any person, whether it is an artificial person like a company or a natural person like us. Name is very important. By name we can call someone else by his or her name we can call. So name is very important for the company. Uh, so the first step in the incorporation of any company, whether it is a public limited company or private limited company or one person company or foreign company or government company, any company you can say, name is very important. Uh, then come to the preparation of memorandum of association and articles of association. So it is further divided. The MOA. MOA is further divided into five clauses. Majorly five clauses, that is name clause, registered office clause, or so you can say association clause, you can say domicile clause, that is all are same. Then object clause, liability clause, capital clause. So these are the clauses mentioned in the memorandum of association of the company. You can say in very short, you can say MOA. MOA. Then come to the very important step, the printing of all the documents, the signing by the authorities and stamping of the documents of memorandum and articles. That is very important. These documents to be printed, having a copy, and it should be signed by the concerned person, by the members, by the founder members, by the subscribers to memorandum. That is their signature is very important. It is very mandatory, and stamping. Stamping is also very important. That makes a document legal to be present in the court of law. In the case of any dispute, that makes a document legally valid. The stamping that makes a document legally valid in the court of law. Then comes the power of attorney. Power of attorney is a very essential document, evidence or documentary element to be involved in the stage of incorporation of a company, and the other documents to be filed with the ROC. ROC means Registrar of Companies. That is number 1 is statutory declaration in E-form number 1, payment of registration fees, and certificate of incorporation. These are the documents to be you can get after filing of MOA and A of the company. You could get a certificate of incorporation by payment of a nominal fee that is charged by the Registrar of Companies for the purposes of the incorporation of the company. Incorporation, you can say, registration, you can say, everything is said. Now come to the promoters. Promoters, they are the very important persons of the companies who have formed an idea to form a company, to form into a company. So they are the idea generators, or they are the decision makers. They are the first person who have an idea, form an idea to start a new company, to establish a new company. So they are the persons behind the promotion, behind the incorporation, behind the commencement of the company. The promoters, they are the very, very important persons that is required to get a company to get its legal existence in the eyes of law. So as per the Companies Act 2013, the term was defined in section 2 subsection 69 in the following way. Promoter means a person who has been named as such in a prospectus or is identified by the company in the annual return referred to in section 92, or who has control over the affairs of the company directly or indirectly, whether as a shareholder or as a director or otherwise, and in accordance with whose advice, directions and instructions the BOD of the company is accustomed to act. And so these are the requirements for the promoters, because promoters who have a control over the affairs of the company, who have a control over the management of the companies, and the BOD, they work as per the direction, as per the advice of the promoters of the companies. So they have to act as per the directions, as per the instructions of the promoters of the company. So they are under someone else. Then come to the preliminary and pre-incorporation contracts. Preliminary contracts are contracts entered into by the promoters on behalf of the company before its incorporation with third parties. So preliminary contracts are the contracts entered before incorporation, entered before registration of the company, and these are the contracts entered by the company with third party. This is a third party contract. So this is required before incorporation, because we are not getting registered, but we have to make arrangements for getting the firm into legal picture. So you have to sign a contracts with third party to get a company a legal existence. We have to pay solicitor fees, we have to pay advocate fees, we have to pay legal fees, we have to make arrangements for the incorporation, for the registration, and these required some legal expenses. You have to expend on initially you have to spend before registration, and you have to make expenditures, and that these required certain contracts you have to sign with third parties, and that requires you have to make preliminary contracts. That is before incorporation. Your companies, there is no name in the register of the companies before incorporation, but you have to make arrangements before registration, and for these arrangements you have to incur certain expenditures, and that expenditures in which you incurred, that should be recorded as a contract. You have to sign with the suppliers, with the vendors, with third parties, and for this you have make a contract, and this is for this this is come under the preliminary contracts. Preliminary means before incorporation, before registration. The promoters to enter into these contracts of purchases of assets on behalf of the company about to be formed, but before it is actually formed. So it is required because company is not formed, but it is in the process of formation. So we have to incur certain expenditures on legal advisory matters, on making arrangements for the offices. We have to make purchase to make furnitures and fittings, and we have to purchase a land. We have to make a land agreements, purchase agreements, lease agreement before registration. But it is required to set up an office, to set up a business, to set up a company. And these contracts which we signed with third parties, these contracts are called as preliminary contracts. So they generally enter into these contracts. They mean the company as agent of the company, as trustee of the company, which has not in existence, because company not in existence before incorporation. So we give life to the company, we give existence to the company as promoters of the company, as members of the company, as memorandums of subscribers to memorandums of the company. We give existence to the company. So company not in existence before incorporation, company not in existence before registration, and we have to sign certain contracts to make a company to get its legal existence. Then come to the certificate of incorporation. Section 7 of the Companies Act 2013 deals with the procedure for the incorporation of a company, which sets out certificate of incorporation issued by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs or the state government. So as the final step to the incorporation of the company, it provides legal identity to the company and a license to commence business. So this is as per section 7 of the Companies Act 2013 about the procedure for the incorporation of a company. To set out certificate of incorporation, it is issued by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, or you can say MCA, Government of India, or any state government or any local government that is responsible for the incorporation of a company. So to get it licensed, because without incorporation we cannot able to get certificate of commencement of business. That is a mandatory requirement. The company must have a certificate of incorporation in order to get a certificate of commencement of business. That is required. Then obtaining a certificate of incorporation. So there are certain steps you can say involved in obtaining a certificate of incorporation. Number one step is obtain a digital signature certificate and director's identification number. That is a mandatory requirement. You have to obtain a DIN number and DCN number for it to get certificate of obtaining a certificate in order to get a certificate of incorporation. So DIN number and DSC number is mandatory to obtain for a company who is in the process of registration. Then come to the application for name approval. That this application have to submit before the registrar of companies to get its name approved. And name should not be legal, should be legal, should be lawful, must not be identical, must not be similar to any other name, should not hurt the sentiments of any community, any group. So name should not be similar, should not be identical, and should be unique, should be different from others. So in order to get approved by the official authority, authorized authority, that is the registrar of companies. So application has to be filed with ROC in order to get its name approved. Then come to the preparation of memorandum of association and articles of association, MOA and AOA. So these are the you can say very important documents to be submitted before ROC. I've already discussed in previous sections in about the MOA and AOA. That is a very important document, very important. Without these two documents, company cannot get itself registered, company cannot be incorporated without memorandum and without articles. So that is a mandatory, you can say compulsory requirement to get its MOA and AOA registered. Submitted, you have to submit a copy to ROC, registrar of companies. Then filing the e-forms and payment of fees with the registrar. And this is a very important, filing of all the electronic forms, filing all the e-forms and payment of fees, whether it is a nominal fees to be paid to the registrar or in order to get a certificate of incorporation. So without payment of any fees, because this is a legal fees you have to pay to get a certificate, in order to get a certificate of registration, or you can say certificate of incorporation. So without payment of fees, you cannot get a certificate of incorporation. So issuance, the ROC will only issue a certificate of incorporation only after submission of the nominal fees charged by the registrar of companies. Then come to the prospectus. Prospectus is also a very important document, very important documentary of evidence to be submitted before ROC for the registration of the company. So as per or according to Companies Act 2013, prospectus is defined under section 2 subsection 70. A prospectus is any document described or issued as a prospectus, including any notice, circular, advertisement or other document inviting deposits from the public or inviting offers from the public for the subscription or purchase of any shares or debentures of a body corporate. So this is very important document, prospectus, that is defined under section 2 subsection 70 of Companies Act 2013. Any document defined, issued as prospectus, including any notice, any circular, any advertisement or other document inviting deposits from the public or inviting offers from the public for the subscription or purchase of any shares, any debentures of a body corporate. So body corporate is basically a company. Body corporate is a company, artificial company, legal company. Then come to the types of prospectus that is defined in Companies Act. Section 25 subsection 1 that is defined as deemed prospectus. This is about the deemed prospectus that is mentioned in section 25 subsection 1. So when a company allots or agrees to allot any securities of the company with a view to all or any of those securities being offered for sale to the public, any document by which the offer for sale to the public is made shall or for all purposes be deemed to be prospectus issued by the company. So when a company lots or agrees to lot any securities of the company with a view to all or any of those securities being offered for sale to the public or any document by which the offer for sale to the public shall for all purposes be deemed to be a prospectus by the company. This is the definition as per the Companies Act. Then come to the shelf prospectus. Shelf prospectus defined under explanation section 31 of the Companies Act 2013 as shelf prospectus means a prospectus in respect of which the securities or class of securities included therein are issued for subscription in one or more issues over a certain period without the issue of a further prospectus. So we can issue a shelf prospectus if we do not want to, in case of one or more issue over a certain period, and we don't want to issue further prospectus in that short span of time. So we can issue a shelf prospectus in lieu of the prospectus. Then come to the red herring prospectus. Red herring prospectus defined under explanation given in section 32 of the Companies Act 2013 as red herring prospectus means a prospectus which does not include complete particulars of the quantum or price of the securities included therein. Then come to the abridged prospectus, that is abridged. Abridged means the short, the summary, the brief, you can say, abridged prospectus. That is given in section 33 of the Companies Act. That is defined about the abridged prospectus, that no form of application for the purchase of any securities of a company shall be issued unless it is accompanied by a abridged prospectus. So it is basically a memorandum containing salient features of the prospectus as specified by SEBI. So SEBI is Security Exchange Board of India. So this type of prospectus include all the information in brief which gives a summary to the investor to make further decisions. So that is a short summarized prospectus of the main prospectus of the company, and this is as per the definition given section 33 of the Companies Act 2013 about the abridged prospectus. So company cannot issue any further securities unless it is accompanied by a abridged prospectus.